Have you heard this Freelancer song on TikTok?
It costs that much because it takes me out.
It's a really popular song because, to be honest, dealing with client objections can be tough, but not for you, my friend, because this week we are going to talk about how to easily overcome objections as a freelancer and win more projects. Are you ready? Let's go. What is up, self-maders? Welcome to another episode of the Self-Made Web Designer Podcast. A listener named Josh reached out and wanted to chat, and obviously I said yes. Josh has been freelancing for about 6 months now, and he's killing it. He's gotten about $2,000 worth of work already, but he's been running into some roadblocks as he's tried to start charging higher rates. The clients he's been talking to have been objecting to his higher prices. How could they? So I thought, hey, Josh, let's get on a call and record our conversation, because dealing with client objections is actually something that every freelancer is going to have to deal with. And the good news is that there are some things that you can do to actually turn those objections into an opportunity to show your client just how perfect you are for them. But before we dive into my conversation with Josh, I gotta ask, have you subscribed to the Self-Made Web Designer Podcast? Doing that will give you weekly tips on how to level up as a freelancer, start charging higher rates, and ultimately crush it as a web designer. So do that now. Also, if you want to find the transcript for my conversation with Josh, there will be a link to do that in the episode's show notes. All right, are you ready to hear my conversation with Josh, talking about how to easily overcome client objections as a freelancer and win more projects? All right, let's do it. So your question is, you've got some clients who are coming to you, you're having consultation calls with them. They're kind of kicking back on your price and saying, there are lower price options available. So how do I convince these folks of your value, or how do you stand out from the folks who are kind of the lower price option? Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what I've been dealing with.
Yeah. Okay. It's a real common thing for folks who are just getting started. But a couple of things I think you're doing right already, and I just kind of want to point it out, is number one, you're getting in front of folks, right? So you're having those calls. That's something that a lot of folks who are just getting started, you've only been doing this for 6 months. And so like a lot of folks are just like, how do I get in front of people and have conversations with them about, selling them a website or rebuilding or whatever. So that is great. So the other part to that is learning how to get in front of the right people, right? So rather than getting in front of folks who are looking for, they're what's called price-driven clients, right? Like that is their litmus test for whether or not this is worth it. Like, how cheap can I get it for? And if you are always getting in front of price-driven clients, this will always be a conversation that you have. So, the first thing would be to try to figure out how to find clients who aren't price-driven as much as they're value-driven, right? So they're not just looking for the lowest cost alternative. They're looking for something that is really going to move the needle for their business, and they're willing to pay a little bit more for it, So that would be the first step in the strategy is where are the leads coming from? Are you getting the right ones to come to you who, you obviously want to scale up in your prices, so you don't want to stay at where you're at right now. So, look for those folks who they're at a place in their business where they're probably not just starting out, because folks who are just starting out, they're more price driven. Because they're just trying to get something out the door. They're trying to get it out the door for as cheap as possible, get something running, proof of concept. They don't know if they're going to make any money from it. But folks who are kind of in the middle of their journey, so they've made a little bit of money in it, they have a little bit of disposable income, but their website has kind of capped their growth. That's where you want to focus your attention on getting in front of those folks. Looking for the folks who maybe have been around for 2 or 3 years. It could be a side hustle. It could be something they're doing part-time, but because it's a side hustle, they've got a little bit more funds to kind of throw at marketing or throw at their website. So that would be the first step. The second step, when somebody asks you to justify your prices, you want to be as data driven as possible, right? So you want to say, well, it's because I feel like I'm worth it. Like that's not really the best strategy. You want to say, well, the last person's site that I rebuilt, he went from making $10,000 a month to $20,000 a month, right? And here's what I did. I did A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So if I can do that, he paid me $10,000. He's got $10,000 extra a month as a result of working with me. So he has 10x'd his investment in his business because of how I helped him, right? So it might be a little bit tough to do that at the very beginning. But you want to make sure as you're building sites, you're documenting all this stuff, right? So the sites that you have done, you ask those questions like, what's your monthly income? What are you hoping? Or it could even be like, it doesn't have to be a monetary value. You could say like, I'm getting 10 times more leads than I did before I had Josh help me with my website. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. So try to have some legitimate, verifiable data set that you can say, this isn't just about, me feeling like I'm worth this. This is like, in actuality, I'm taking what I know I can do and I'm putting that into a price, and that's what I'm giving to you. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is something that it sounds like you're already doing, that you're telling them, like low price doesn't always mean the best product, so sure, it's going to be low price, but you're going to have to do way more work with them on your own than you would with me because I'm the concierge level. So, and I always try to liken it to, am I going to get a hamburger at McDonald's, or am I going to go to Ruth's Chris and get a steak? They're both fine options. Both will sustain you. You're going to be able to live off of them. Maybe, if you eat too much red meat, you'll get diabetes, but, one is a much more enjoyable experience that you're going to walk away going, wow, that was amazing. Is it going to cost you a lot more? Absolutely. But that all depends on where you're at as a company, and what you're hoping to accomplish. So I am more at not the Ruth's Chris level. I'm more at, like Chili's or some other chain that you would go to versus going to McDonald's and picking from the dollar menu. So I want to take a second and tell you about a free course that I have available at selfmadewebdesigner.com. Over 1,000 people have been through this course, and I am talking about the Web Designer Starter Kit course. I map out in 4 videos that you get through email all the steps that I took to get to where I am as a web designer. And I went from knowing absolutely nothing. I was clueless to, in 2 years, doubling my income with a freelance web design side hustle. I made this because I know you can be successful doing the same thing. And the Web Designer Starter Kit course is the first step for you on your journey to being a successful, thriving freelance web designer or having a full-time career. So I can't wait for you to check it out. Go to selfmadewebdesigner.com and sign up today.
One of the clients I pitched to, some also other problems I'm having is like either they're too busy, like they don't want more business.
Sure.
Which is a little tricky. Do you tend to just kind of be like, all right, that's cool. Y'all are good where you're at? Or do you try to like egg them on to being like, oh, well, potentially you could have a scheduling plugin that could save you time? I
think that's a great strategy. So, because what they're thinking is that you're going to be adding more to their plate. And the reality is that a good website that has some automation set up to where they're not having to answer every single email, and they've got people who are automatically set up into a workflow system. If they get a lead, then it sets a reminder on the calendar and it assigns it to a person in their business to where they don't even have to think about it, and they can do follow-up emails. They can have, automated workflows and MailChimp to where the process is just 100% all mechanical, and so that is a great selling point. And at that point, you're much more becoming a consultant. where you're like, hey, this isn't a website problem. This is a business problem that your website can fix, And so at that point, you kind of want to do what's called future pacing, to where you say, hey, 5 years from now, do you still want to be feeling like you're too busy? And you're capped at the amount of work that you're able to do. You only have 100 something hours in a week. Do you want that to be the cap to your business? Well, if you don't want to, if you want in 2 years, a year from now, you want to only be working 30 or 40 hours a week, let me set you up a website and a system that works for you. Even if I don't redesign it, like hire me $1,000, I'm going to come in and set up all your automation systems to where it's just natural, where a lead comes in, you reach out to them, then they get in the funnel. Another thing I want to encourage you with is, especially, it sounds like, are you doing more cold leads kind of thing, or how's this working for you? How are you getting in front of people?
Yeah, so some of them are cold leads. Some of them, like literally, I'll be driving, I see a truck, I don't see a website on it, I'll give them a call.
Yeah.
Other times, I'm actually visiting their business. So 2 of my clients, I was actually customers there, and I just mentioned like, hey, I noticed you guys don't have a website, or it seems a little out. No, I don't say it does seems a little outdated. One of the guys said it was trash, but So some, I guess it's a mix of that. And then I've also been doing some like proposals on Upwork and all that.
Got it. So. Okay. Yeah. So that's a great way to do it. But those are pretty cold leads. And so with that, you've got to look at it as you're investing now, but 7 months, a year from now, they're going to be the ones that are calling you back, right? So they say that typically you want to get in front of somebody 7 times before they actually have decided yes or no. There's 3 decisions: yes, no, or let me wait, and I want to do this, but I just can't do it right now, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you're in the very first few interactions with them and you're already starting to think critically and kind of help them put the pieces together, then, I think on the 7th interaction, it's going to be a lot easier. So the funnel or the system that you're working is actually doing exactly what you need it to. I think you just got to be a little bit patient and kind of keep working with it. That where most freelancers drop off is that they don't follow up with people that they connected with, right? So you want to set something up with these folks that you've had interactions with, just to reach out to them in a non-invasive, non-pushy way. So set a reminder on your calendar, do it a month from now, to where you send them a text or you send them an email or you follow up with a phone call. Hey, just want to see how you guys are doing. See if there's anything that you need help with. Maybe you don't even include that, and I always try to bring a little bit of like insider knowledge to the conversation. Like, hey, notice you guys just did this sale. It looks like it was really successful. Glad to see that you guys are still running and gunning, So just try to consistently keep following up with them. And this is the CRM of it all, right? Where you've got the marketing, customer relationship management kind of stuff. So where you just have something that you're just kind of constantly keeping in touch with people. And the good news is that you help these guys out, and they're going to tell their friends about you, and that this is how it starts. This is the process. So you're doing absolutely everything you need to do.
Fun chatting with Josh. Just a quick recap. If you want to overcome client objections and win more projects as a freelancer, here's a few things that you can do. Number 1, the best way to deal with client objections is actually finding clients who have less objections. As they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I knew that advice from my mom would someday be applicable to my own life. So don't spin your wheels trying to get in front of clients that probably won't hire you no matter what you say. Instead, spend some time really dialing in which clients you'll serve best in this season of your freelancing career, and then get in front of those clients. Number 2, be ready to justify what you're worth. You can do that through actual data of clients' success that you've worked with in the past. But you could also talk about the experience the client will have versus going with a cheaper option. Number 3, don't just be a freelancer. Be a problem solver. When a client raises an objection, come up with a solution to help them solve the issue they're having in their business with the expertise that you have as a freelancer. And finally, keep at it. Most of the time, it's going to take more than one interaction with a client before they're ready to say yes to you. On average, it takes anywhere from 6 to 8 times before the client is ready to hire you. So follow up and stick with it, but don't do it in a pushy way, okay? Put the relationship before the sale always. All right, that's it for this episode. I hope you got a lot out of learning how to handle client objections. Next week, we've got another episode coming straight at you, and it's gonna be awesome, and I know you're gonna love it. Until then, keep pushing and growing, and don't forget, if you don't quit, you win.